So this week in WordPress, there were 3 articles that caught my eye. I sent them ahead of time to Sarah so that she could read them and we could talk about them. Article number 1 is called The 5 Words You Need to Hear When You Feel Like You're Not Good Enough. This article was published over on ProBlogger, and it was written by Stacey Roberts. And according to her, the 5 words you need to hear is done is better than perfect. There's actually quite a bit in the article, but to keep it simple, Sarah, what were your thoughts on that?
I had a couple of thoughts. I thought it was fantastic, and I think it's particularly relevant for a lot of us as web designers, because the worst web page to do is your own web page. And I've been talking to a lot of people lately who are trying to get going in the business. And so they're doing their own web page and they're kind of sending it to me and saying, what do you think of this? And how does this look? And I love being a part of that with people, but I remember for me, my webpage was the one I hated the most. I hated coming up with content. I didn't know, like, what should I put in? What should I leave out? I kind of want to show off what I can do. And so I spent forever doing my own webpage, and I was actually doing all these other people's web pages and not my own one, which meant I could never actually promote myself. And I think it's a great idea of just get it done. Like, my webpage is always going to be in a state of improvement where I'm never done with it. Like, it's never going to be completed and perfect, but having something up there, no matter what it is, even if it's just something, is better than not having anything up there. And getting yourself out there, even if it's a progression, then you add something here or there. Like, I've only just done my frequently asked questions. So like, I've been slowly adding different avenues along the way. I added like forms and, we'll get into that later, but it took me a while. Like, I started with just this one page, really simple thing, and slowly added my portfolio and slowly added. And I think it's better just to have something online. And we're always going to be so self-critical of ourselves with our own web pages, but just getting something done is better than nothing.
Yeah. And you can always improve, right? So like, that's my big thing is, get it out there, get it done, ship whatever it is you want to do, your product, your website, for me, an episode. And if there's something wrong with it, like, you could labor over it forever, and it's still only going to ever get up to a certain quality level, because there's probably 100 different things that, are contributing to that are not really within your power to change. So it's like, make a list of things that you're going to improve the next time, and do those next time, do it better. And just, if you do that fast enough and you do it quick enough, before you know it, you're going to have a product or a website or whatever that is just leaps and bounds better than what you were able to do just a short time ago.
Yeah.
Huge fan of that mentality.
I think so many of us just get stuck on it and trying to do the perfections and the last bits at the end. And sometimes you just got to get it done. And maybe it's not perfect, but clients will come back to you if there's something that's a little bit amiss, and then you can fix it up later. But it's better to just start moving with it. I think it was something the article was talking about was robot blocks and just starting small, just get yourself going. Even if you get stuck on feeling like you're not creative enough or whatever, but just get going with it.
Yeah. And also, I mean, important. Obviously this is not a call for low standards by any means, but what it is to say, work to the best of your ability and don't beat yourself up about not being able to be better than you currently are.
Yes.
And then as you learn new things and as you can improve, then perfect as you get better. Don't try to be the best there is in the world your first time out, or whatever you might.
Absolutely.
I've
been known to go back on the sly and fix one of my old clients' websites. If I did it, but I kind of wished I could have done something extra, but I just got it done. They paid, they were happy, and we moved on. I didn't labor in it for hours and hours and hours. But then at the same time, later on when I learned that thing I wanted to do, I just went back on the sly and chucked it in there. Because, it feels good to be able to fix something that you wanted to do. But I didn't spend hours and hours in that moment doing it. Instead I moved on and came back to it.
Couldn't agree more. Let's jump to the next article. The next article is called Life with My Robot Secretary. So this was published on fastcodesign.com by Mark Wilson. This article talks about, it kind of uses the analogy of a few recent movies, Ex Machina and Her, and talking about artificial intelligence and the future of, virtual assistants, and actually quite a bit more than that. But the immediate example is a service called Clara, and Clara is it came out of the Y Combinator, which is a startup incubator, a tech startup incubator, and this startup is all about using and training an AI personal assistant named Clara. And so right now they have like an army of people who help to train Clara to basically set up meetings. That's its main function, is to take the small administrative tasks out of syncing up with someone else. Something I could probably use for booking guests. What did you think about? I mean, it seems really effective. It seems like it works really well. It's incredibly pricey right now, I think, because I don't know that I would pay, for instance, $50 a month for their lowest version just to book meetings for me every month. But I could see as it gets cheaper, really using something like this. I guess my main reason for wanting to talk about it with you is, our main subject today is all about systems, and this is like the ultimate system. This is a system that can think for you. This is a system that can do the problem solving for you. I don't know. What did it make you think of? What was your response to this article?
I felt really mixed. Like, as I went through the article, there was parts of it where I was like, wow, that would be amazing. I mean, who wouldn't want to have a personal assistant? Mm-hmm. Like, who wouldn't want to have some, whether it's AI or an actual person organizing things in your life, like that would be perfect. I feel like my life is incredibly chaotic, and who wouldn't want to have someone help you organize things so you don't double book? And maybe for someone who is having, multiple meetings every day, then this would be really useful for them. But at the same time, I found it a bit scary, like the whole concept. And in the article, they talk about how they surveyed all these people who had received calls from Clara, and how most of them didn't know that it was AI. Like, they just thought it was an actual person.
Just thought it was a person.
They got emails and it was all very personal. And they were saying that's because it is being filtered currently through people.
But
at the same
end
time,
game is to have it be completely automated, completely independent. Not just automated, but AI, artificial, actually thinking for itself. So.
Yeah. And I mean, it kind of scares me a little bit. Like, he was kind of saying, and it even kind of thought of things that he hadn't thought of. Like, it knew where he was at that particular time. So, and like knew his favorite cafes. And I love, like, I watch Humans. I don't know if you've seen that show.
No,
but
I haven't seen. That's a J.J. Abrams show, right? It's on TV.
I don't know who makes it, but it's like, it's all about artificial intelligence and how they have like these in-home robots who are very human-like. Anyway, I'm totally hooked on that. Like, I love that as a TV show. I'm just not sure that I'm ready to like welcome that into my business. Like, but I think it's an interesting thought, and I know certainly I'm definitely open to finding ways that are going to make me more productive. So I'll be watching this space.
We've had several guests on the show who have taken the step to hire a project manager or someone else to help with administrative tasks. Is that something that you've gotten to the point where you want to do, or are you maybe not to that stage of, I guess, is that just not a requirement for you right now?
Yeah, it's not a requirement for me right now. Like, I've only been full-time in my business this year. So I only quit my job in February this year, and I'm just getting going. So, but I see in my 5-year plan roughly that within that time, I would love to be hiring some people. I'm definitely open to it, but I really want to spend a little bit of time initially making my brand really strong and who I am. I think some of my personality is what I bring to my business. And I want to make sure that gets really strong before I start welcoming others into being a part of that. But certainly, like, in the next 2 years, I can definitely see myself outsourcing some of the, bits and pieces that just take time, but not necessarily a lot of skill, or, organizing things with clients. But I love the client contact. I think I would struggle to let go of the client contact.
So verdict is, it's useful but scary.
Yeah.
Sounds useful but scary, but maybe in the future.
Give me 10 years on that one.
All right. Let's jump to our third and final article. This one is called The Productive Person's Guide to Serendipity. And this was by Rodolphe Dutel, and I probably butchered that name. And this was published on thenextweb.com. So this was an interesting article, and I think it is particularly apt for people like you and I who do put a lot of systems in place in our life, we can start to feel like our entire life has been scripted for us. We have everything planned out to a T. And then all of a sudden we start to miss, the serendipity of an unplanned life, the things that happen when you're not expecting it and you didn't plan for it. And it's nice. So this article is basically about how to incorporate that, or thoughts on incorporating. I don't know that they ever gave a recipe for how to do it for everybody. But I guess that would be my question to you. Are there, things that you do to try to welcome a healthy level of uncertainty into your business, into your days at least?
Yeah. I agree mostly with this article. The whole side of serendipity, I think, talks a bit about luck and like just allowing like things like that to come in. But I see it similar in terms of, I think when I have systems in place, it does allow freedom for diverting from that system. So I have 2 kids, and I have one kid in school and another kid who is 2 years old. And so I work when he is sleeping. So sometimes that changes. Like sometimes he won't sleep, or we'll be out and he'll fall asleep while we're out, and therefore he doesn't have a sleep during the day, or, we go away. And so I don't have my night times where I work. And I think there's something about having systems in place that gives a little bit of freedom in that. So that things are still going to keep moving, even though changes might come, and it gives flexibility to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to go out with my friends this Wednesday night, even though that's when I would normally work, because I can be flexible and still fit those things in other places. So I think it's interesting. Like, I know when I was working, and I'm guessing many of us are like this, we're working in jobs where people tell us what to do all the time, and we're having to follow rules, and we kind of think, it'd be great when I run my own business because I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, I can sleep in, and to a point that's true. But I've actually found as I've gone on, that I really need to have systems in place, and I actually need to set rules for myself where I do work between these particular hours, and I always make sure I respond to clients within a certain amount of time. And so I have these rules for myself that by having those rules, it means things are continuing and moving. Yeah. And then if something comes up, I know I can step back because I have it all still moving and I know what's going on.
Yeah, I thought that too, is the fact that it's almost like our systems are, for me, I like to think of it as, I think systems, yes, but mostly I think of like rituals, like my daily rituals, or like I break my day down into sections, and then I say, well, how do I go about this? And I think if I have a plan for that, like you're saying, I almost feel like true serendipity is like something good happening, like unexpectedly, like something unexpectedly happening to benefit you. So what I found is that when I don't have a system in place for my everyday, I don't have the option of allowing serendipity to happen because there's so much uncertainty that I can't really allow myself to take that risk because there's too many variables. But if
there's so much chaos going on. Like if you don't calm that chaos, you can't even know whether you can welcome something else in.
Exactly.
So I think there's something about settling everything and knowing everything's in its right place.
Right. It's like, if I can keep 90 or 80% of everything organized, and then something else comes along and I decide to change it up for that, 10, 15, 20%. All right, cool. That's fine. That's manageable, and it's beneficial, and it's pleasant. Yeah. It's not, anxiety inducing uncertainty.
Yeah. I mean, I liked what Gino talked about, how he has one day set aside for that stuff, where he has his entire week planned out, but then he has this one day where he can just welcome in whatever comes. And if nothing comes, then he can work on his own projects. I would love to have a little bit of room to work on my own projects. So I loved hearing that. I would love to be at the point at some point where I can be, dedicating a block of time for those unexpected things. And maybe that time moves from a Monday to a Friday.
Well, just knowing that you have it, if something comes up, you can say, oh, well, in my head, I'm shifting that time to now. And I know that I just have to rearrange things. It's not, oh, well, I'm just going to go do these things and let chips fall where they may. That may be a little too loose of a way to go about things.
And then clients fall off the list.
Exactly,
and, people get upset because you haven't kept up with what you said, but that you've got room. You just have to rearrange. Yeah, I really like that thought.
So for anybody that's looking to work some more serendipity into their work life, their life in general, stay tuned, because we're going to talk about how to develop systems to work smarter, save money, and live better. And those systems are going to allow you to have the peace of mind to let random events come into your life and do some wonderful things on occasion. So that's all for this edition of This Week in WordPress. If you're interested in reading the articles we discussed, YouTube viewers can check the video description for links, and everyone else can find the show notes on our blog. Just go to the community category in the right-hand sidebar of our blog and check out the post for Divi Nation episode 12. Don't forget, if you're watching this video on YouTube or Facebook, take a moment to subscribe, follow, like, and/or share.